Hello and welcome back to Second Take Movies, the podcast where we give movies a second look, second chance, a second take, if you will. I'm your host, Preston Jenkinson, and joining me to talk about Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, kind of springing this on him, it's my co-host, Jack Twido.
Oh, Indiana Jones and the Crystal Dole.
Yeah. We kind of talked about when the episode ended the other week, me and Jake kind of talked about him, but like being more of a co-host of this podcast at this point.
This is where 90% of your listeners are going to quit listening forever, especially those guys over there in like Germany and like, anywhere I've accidentally insulted. It's definitely.
Anyway, we're talking about Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And I don't think we've really decided about release schedule now that this is kind of an official thing. Maybe it's every other week. Maybe it's every week. I don't know if Jake wants to do this every week.
I have no life. My mother-in-law won't listen to this, and my mom probably won't either. I don't have kids, so they can make fun of me all I want to, but I got time, baby.
So we'll move on to the story. In 1957, archaeologist and adventurer Dr. Henry Indiana Jones Jr. is called back into action and becomes entangled in a Soviet plot to uncover the secret behind mysterious artifacts known as the Crystal Skulls.
I'm going to go ahead and get you a point right away. So this is embarrassing, and it's not something I like to admit. This was the first Indiana Jones movie I ever watched.
Oh my God.
I mean, I saw pieces of the other ones, never really watched them. This was the first one I ever watched. Like, I knew Indiana Jones was. I felt like I knew it, whatever. He's everything. Preston, this is the second time I've ever watched this movie. I thought this was present day. I don't know why I thought this was present day. No, so for the first 30 minutes watching this, I was going, what podunk town is this? This is ridiculous.
The Elvis song and the T Model 4 didn't kind of clue that off for you?
I think I was just really, really entrenched on figuring out why did Harrison Ford do this. I think I was more focused on that.
This is the one character that he loves to talk about and that he loves to play.
Well, I also was mentioned
someone mentioned Han Solo to him recently in an interview, and he was like, "I wish George Lucas would die." So.
I really want to hear that clip because I just want to hear his gruffy voice. But
I'm sure he said it as a joke because, he's worked with George Lucas on this and Star Wars. So he's worked with him quite a bit. So I'm sure it was a joke. But
I also didn't realize that I can't remember her last name. Kathleen, whatever. The lady that runs Lucas.
Kate Blanchett.
No. Kathleen, she does the Star Wars movies now.
Kennedy, yeah.
She was a producer or something on this.
She got her, that's who she rose through the ranks of Lucasfilm in the 80s with Indiana Jones, and like she started as like a production assistant a long time ago. And she's worked her way up through Lucasfilm.
That makes me feel a lot better is maybe not the right word. I thought she was a nobody. That just was like, I'm in charge of Star Wars now. So watching this, I was like, oh, shoot. All right. She's been around.
She worked at Lucasfilm for like 30 years before she was, when Disney bought the company in 2013. 2013.
Yeah, because George Lucas thought the Mayan calendar was ending and his life was, so he sold all his stuff.
Became a billionaire. That's who he appointed to take over. So.
This is the worst intro to any one of your podcasts because I derailed you in 1 minute and 28 seconds. So give me the reviews, Preston. Give me the reviews before I keep on doing this, man.
That's right, because we do a positive and a negative review. The positive from our good friend Roger Ebert at the Chicago Sun-Times. I can say that if you liked the other Indiana Jones movies, you will like this one, and that if you did not, there is no talking to you. Well, I guess you won't talk to me, Roger Ebert, because 2 of the original Indiana Jones movies are masterpieces, and I don't like this movie.
And you know what? Again, this was the first one I saw. I knew about Indiana Jones. I knew the scenes. Never saw them.
Yeah.
Preston, I didn't watch the trilogy because of this movie. I never did. Last year I watched it for the first time. And I was like, oh my God, what have I done? Like,
I grew up with my dad showing me these movies when I was young. Like, I had nightmares because of Temple of Doom at 8 years old.
Shout out Tyler Bradley. You know, when we were little kids, I'm pretty sure that the ark opening and melting everyone's faces, I didn't stay in the room. I'm like, everyone watched this movie. For some reason, I left. I was afraid of it because I guess I'm an idiot. I just remember visibly, audibly the sound and seeing that and going, never watching this. Man, what a loser.
Yeah. The negative review. Kirk Honeycutt from The Hollywood Reporter. Director Steven Spielberg seems intent on celebrating his entire early career here. Whatever the story, there is a vague journey to return a spectacular archaeological find to its rightful home. An unusual gold of the old grave robber, you must admit, gets swamped in a sea of stunts and CGI that are relentless as the scenes and character relationships are charmless.
That is a negative review, but that is very well written.
Yes.
I mean, that is
the best written ones I've read.
I mean, like, if you disagree with it, you kind of have to agree on a lot of those points, though.
Right.
Indiana Jones was in a fridge and a nuclear bomb went off. Let's just, not to cut to it straight away, but golly.
Well, my first point is hot take. This is the beginning of the slump of Spielberg.
All right. I'm going to hop into it really quick. I sent you a text.
Okay.
And I have a theory. It's not my own, I think.
That's right.
Heard
yes.
This. Yeah.
Yeah, you have a crazy theory.
It's crazy, but I really do think Steven Spielberg actually commented on this. Post 9/11, Steven Spielberg, and I tried to look up who else this was. There's a couple of like prolific directors that started viewing violence very, very differently in their movies. So, you know, we're talking like 5 years after 9/11, post 9/11.
Yeah.
Which, if there are any kids listening, you know, 9/11 did happen. I had to tell someone the other day that was a real thing.
There's people in their 20s that don't remember 9/11. So
yeah, I don't get it. But not to go on. This is not this podcast. That's another podcast.
Yeah.
Turn into conspiracies and yes, they're real with Jake. I think Spielberg really made a conscientious effort to change his movie's content after 9/11. There was an interview I feel like I read, but if you look at his movies, like they take a different tone, slightly, or the violence is different. It's
because this is
goofy.
This is the first Indiana Jones movie where he does not fire his gun once,
and he only uses his whip once.
Yeah,
and it's to try and grab
people left and right,
But it's, I don't know, maybe good for Steven Spielberg. But that's one thing I thought about. I texted you and I was like, man, I'm a madman. I'm feeling like you don't think I'm as mad as you thought this was going to be.
No, I thought it was going to be like absolutely crazy. No, it kind of makes sense.
Today, I have a good thought. But and not that it hurts Steven Spielberg.
Right.
I just, there's a, I know we're not really into this movie at all, but there's a darkness to the original trilogy that's awesome. Like, yeah. It is dark. It is rad. This is it's got that Spielberg filter effect where everything's glitzy and shiny, like Minority Report.
Well, see, that's the problem that I have with this movie is it's too clean.
Yeah.
And too shiny. Like because it starts with the Paramount logo that turns into a gopher hole hill, which the CGI gopher was an omen for what this movie was.
Ooh, this that's right. This is what this is gonna be.
Yeah. But yeah, everything is like real bright and it's too clean. And even when they pull into Area 51 and everyone gets out, it just looks like a movie set.
Yeah. I mean, this is my first Indiana Jones movie. I thought way different of this when I watched it the first time. Watching the other ones, Indiana Jones, wow. Harrison Ford had massive diarrhea or whatever, shooting the famous big
Oh
fight
yeah,
scene where he shoots them.
it was
Like that,
in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
yeah,
Yeah,
like their own site. That's sketchy. This
yeah,
they're in like a paradise, maybe.
yeah. Like
Maybe.
there's some kind of like sheen that they put on this movie. Like e- even when they go through all this scuffling and like later on when they run through the jungle and they've been through all this stuff. Even at the end of the movie when they escape the water, his entire outfit is clean. Like it looks like it was
Yep.
freshly pressed. Like he looks like he hasn't gone through anything.
And you know what, dude? They still use that. Well, I didn't see West Side Story because
That's really good.
I'm not going to watch a trashy movie. Is it good?
It is good.
Okay, I've never seen the original.
I haven't either, but the one Spielberg did recently was
Well,
really good.
not to bash it because I'm only bashing the effect. Actually, no, it died off after the BFG. He kind of started laying off this like feathered, polished look. Like Minority Report, dude, it had it. It's got it, but it's futuristic, so it fits.
Well,
but,
yeah, like it makes sense for that movie.
Yeah, but Indiana Jones, no. But sorry, man, I am the mastermind of taking you down the rabbit hole to heck.
But no,
The gopher pops up, man.
Yeah, and it's following what we think are these military guys, and they pull up to this base, and then they all of a sudden shoot all these soldiers. So obviously they're not U.S. soldiers, and they pull up. They all start speaking Russian, so we know that they're from the Soviet Union, and they throw these two guys out the back of a car, and Indy's little brown hat rolls around. It's a great entrance for Indiana Jones. Like it's one of the best.
Yeah, it's that's where I said, oh, this movie's got hope. Yeah. But I also said, why isn't he fighting Nazis?
Because it's 1957.
They're still around.
No, they're not. The big enemy during the 50s was the Soviet Union.
It's those secret Nazis.
Yeah.
Didn't I'm sorry, man. I'm going to take it on so many paths. Schindler's List. It came out in between the third Indiana Jones and this, right? I think it did.
I think so. Because like Schindler's List was what, in the 90s?
Yeah, early. Which I've never seen, and I really should. But
I should see it too.
I have a feeling that.
Yeah, Schindler's List came out in 93.
Okay. I got a gut feeling that they were still going to make it like a secret Captain America Nazi army situation. And after him doing Schindler's List, he's like, I can't do this anymore. I can't make light of this. So we're going to go for the Russians.
Yeah. Like, because Spielberg is like very Jewish. Like,
yeah.
He fired Megan Fox from Transformers for comparing Michael Bay to Hitler. So.
Yeah, I mean, one of them was a rapist and the other one wasn't, right?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yes.
Spielberg just dropped this podcast, by the way. Sorry. Oh, God. But yeah, dude, that was the best intro. I was pumped. I went, oh, this movie's not bad. This is rad. Yeah. This is so good.
And we meet his partner in this movie, Mac, who... you could make this movie without him. He has no motivation. He is not a character. He is a caricature.
He's like a quadruple agent too. Like
he switches sides so many times. Like all he cares, like it. You like I said, you could have made this movie without him. He was useless.
Yeah, I don't understand why he's there.
Yeah, no. I mean, because they talk about all the stuff they went through during the war. I was like, okay, I'd rather see that movie. Honestly.
Yeah, that sounds pretty pumped up. Like, let me see this crap.
There's another thing later on that we'll talk about that I would rather see as a movie. But we figure out we're at Area 51, and they want him to find something that he worked on at some point in his career. So he gets them to give him gunpowder, and he's like, the contents were highly magnetic. I'm going to throw this up in the air, and it's going to point the way. And through that sequence, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll roll with this. We've in this franchise, we've dealt with the Ark of the Covenant, we've dealt with the Holy Grail, dudes pulling hearts out of people's chest, gunpowder pointing
blood
away.
and gunpowder.
Yeah.
Powder. The power of the gunpowder.
Yeah. And so they find it amongst all this stuff. And it's an alien body, or what we think is an alien body.
You know what? I just did a really good job. I was going to take you down a really different hole in a different hall and said, no, because I know what happens next. He doesn't get the body and the daggum lead-lined fridge.
Yeah, so we have this chase through Area 51, and they knock over boxes and stuff, and Mac turns on him, shocker, because apparently the Soviets pay more, and he says he's a capitalist, and
that's every 10 minutes in this movie.
Mac turns on him. That the Mac character is played by Ray Winstone, who's a great actor. He was the bad guy in Black Widow.
I didn't even realize that.
He voiced Beowulf in that Beowulf movie.
Point Break, man. 2015 one.
Yeah. He played Frenchie in The Departed. So he's done a lot of good stuff, but this was not great.
Ah, man. I didn't even realize that was him without a beard at all.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Not a good fit.
No.
At all.
Like you could have, like I said, you could have done this movie without this character.
Yep.
So we have this chase, and this is my other gripe about Indiana Jones in this movie. He's too strong. Like any other time in the movies, Indiana Jones always wins by like the skin of his teeth, and he's beaten down, and his clothes are torn apart, and he always wins at the last minute. But this is like he's just overpowered.
I feel like they should have got Vin Diesel to play this. Like it's that level of like, I will not look weak. I will win no matter what.
Yeah, and they, him and The Rock can keep that scorecard about how many times they hit people and get hit. If you haven't read that article, just Google it. It's stupid.
It is a beaut.
When we have movies like John Wick and stuff like this, and y'all are keeping track of how many times you get hit, okay. So he finally gets away by this, like, I guess it's an experimental jet engine that shoots him out the thing after he fights the big Russian. And there's more CGI gophers, because why not?
Yeah, it's infinite. We don't have to waste money on this. We can just do whatever.
Yeah. And he ends up at like this testing facility for, I guess, nuclear bombs, because like there's these homes and fake families. It's kind of interesting to begin with. It's like, okay, what's this neighborhood? And then it's like starts getting creepy. Like, okay, why are there mannequins? And then, oh, it's a test site. How's Indiana Jones gonna get out of this? There's a phrase called "jumping the shark," and it comes from Happy Days, and it's when Fonzie jumped over a shark.
Hold your horses. That was probably the greatest piece of cinematography in the world.
And when you refer to a TV show as jumped the shark, that means it's run out of ideas and it's on the way out.
Which really sucks in the first 20 minutes of this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when I went, oh, this is the movie. I was wrong.
Because Indiana Jones gets in a lead-lined refrigerator and is perfectly unharmed from a nuclear blast in the Nevada desert. And it like launches into the air, bounces on the ground. Like he's at least coming away with broken bones at least.
Yeah, I'd say that Indiana Jones is toast. How's that for the worst Harrison Ford you've ever heard in your life?
I'm going to get in a refrigerator.
Listen here,
protect me.
Listen here, dame. Before I get in this fridge, make me a sandwich.
Make me a sandwich, Marion. Jones. Where's my hat?
Put a beer in my... I'm about to do Hank Hill accidentally.
It's a...
Dang it, Harrison, put me on the fridge.
A key to any good Harrison Ford impression is to look at the camera and point your finger like this.
And you know what? This is what you just said. This whole movie is littered with it's not my I didn't coin this, I read it. Old man Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah. Like,
everything is a quip. Like,
yeah.
See, you fell down a hole there, partner.
Looks
Here's
like you
the
fell
way
down
up.
a hole.
I'm John Wayne.
Why is Shia LaBeouf in this movie?
More like Shia LaBeouf. You know what I'm saying?
So
gosh.
we cut to he's being investigated by the. He does, but
fired,
like,
doesn't he?
yeah,
Okay.
but he gets interrogated by the FBI first.
Okay.
And he basically describes Roswell. Like after, like, because apparently the alien landing did happen, he was brought out in the middle of the night to study this craft for some reason. And I'm like, okay, this sounds like a way better movie.
Yeah, let me see that crap, dude.
Yeah, Indiana Jones at Roswell investigating like an alien thing, and then he has to go somewhere else. Because like it's similar to something that was on a painting in some other part of the world. It writes itself.
Way better.
Yeah. And then they search his files and stuff at school because the FBI could just do that back then because this is the Red Scare and they were assuming everybody was a communist who didn't. Our government's done some crazy stuff.
I didn't even remotely think about the Red Scare and this same like time frame. Of course, I was still thinking this was modern day. At this point, I figured it out, but I was watching it just like, what is? Yeah. When Shia LaBeouf, the greaser, shows up, I went, okay, this is a hipster or this is in the 50s. One of the two.
Right. And so, yeah, he's which here's my other thing. Like, this is kind of a tangent, but it's not. It's still related to the movie. Indiana Jones is a professor of archaeology. Like, he's got classes and he teaches and he has all these. How does he get all this time off to go all over the world and get this stuff?
He's a ladies' man. He's definitely got some good like teacher aides or something. And I'm not saying he's got aides. I'm saying like assistants.
I guess he would have graduate students, grad assistants and whatnot.
Yeah, and it's like real world stuff. There's a guy that lives beside me that is a professor at Clemson University, and he does like have extended time off. He's not Indiana Jones, but he has he goes and researches in remote places. So
yeah, so it's like a sabbatical or something.
Yeah, and I guess it looks good as like it's good for the university. I guess one of those Ivy Leagues, whatever. Yeah. No, he's it's Marshall University or real school.
Yeah, they made a movie. Matthew McConaughey made a movie about their football team.
Oh man, I'm not going to do it. Yeah, okay. Sorry.
All right. I'm a
Marshall College, coach. Not university.
Marshall College. That's right. Anyway.
Rolling a booger.
But anyway, he gets fired because the FBI is investigating him. Or it's a leave of absence is what they call it. And Marcus Brody is dead. I don't know if you're familiar with the character Marcus Brody. Because you have seen the movie, so you know who Marcus Brody is. Longtime friend of Indiana Jones. The actor and the character are both dead. Which is kind of not cool when they hit his statue later and make a funny beheading joke. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I was like, that's a little poor class there.
If the actor's actually dead, let's calm down on that. But
yeah, unless there's some kind of inside story that no one knows about, whatever. But
yeah,
dude, boy,
yeah. For some reason he's leaving the country. Like already starts to leave the country. And he gets on a train, and who should show up? On a motorcycle in a leather jacket, it's our good friend Shia LaBeouf.
Mutt Williams.
This is post Transformers, pre green screen thing.
I will go ahead and tell you, watching this, I went, you know what? I feel nothing but remorse, and I feel bad for Shia LaBeouf.
I do, because he's a great actor.
He is phenomenal, and I think he got screwed. I mean, I think at this point in his career, I think he was hooked on, I don't know what drugs or anything else.
He was on all kinds of, he was doing a lot of crazy stuff, and he didn't have a great childhood because he was a child actor. And
yeah, so watching this kind of I don't want to hate on Shia LaBeouf. I think he did the best he could, but daggum, Whole time I'm like, I don't know if you ever watched Peanut Butter Falcon.
I have not watched it yet.
Oh, dude,
I heard it's amazing.
It is amazing, and it really, like, Shia LaBeouf can act. That's it. But also love his character is named after John Williams. It's an homage to John Williams.
Mutt
Williams is an homage to John Williams.
Okay.
That's how they gave him that last name.
I know Indiana Jones is named after George Lucas's dog.
Yep. What a good boy.
Yeah.
But Mutt Williams is 100% John Williams, or at least that's the story or rumors, whatever else.
Okay. So he convinces Indiana Jones to get off the train because one of Indy's old friends is friends with Mutt's mom and him, and I don't know how it actually.
Yeah, that whole piece is great. Like, what just happened? He knows someone that's a colleague, and it's like, hey, we're here.
It's a colleague we've never heard of before.
Yeah, that was my biggest problem. Like, dude, especially watching the first three, you've got this list of people that you could have tagged into here. You got this random Joe Schmo.
But we've got this mysterious mom and this mysterious colleague, and Indiana Jones doesn't even know who the mom is at first. And so they're at a cafe, a little diner, and he's explaining to him that this I can't remember what his what's his name?
Oxley.
Oxley.
Calls him Oz, but it's Harold. Harold Oxley.
Harold Oxley. And
Harold Oxley.
He's gone back to look for this skull that him and Indy looked for as a kid or as young colleagues back in the day. It's the Crystal Skull. So we get the name of the movie, what the movie's named for, and he's been missing, kidnapped. We don't know yet. And he sent this letter to Mutt, and he's trying to convince Indiana Jones to go. And Indiana Jones explains, "Oh, this is the crystal skull from this ancient Mayan temple that was supposedly, or this from this city that's supposed to be the city of gold, and there's conquistadors and blah 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 blah."
I will say, maybe it's this point in time in my life, I'm just an insane person. Like, we talked about Moon Knight before the recording.
Yeah,
my like stupid studies of Egyptian mythology is starting to really pay off. Watching this, I went, some of my Mayan stuff. I took a mythology class, which it was at a tech school. So,
I took a comic book class at a community college.
You son of a gun. I want to take that class.
That's why I know so much about comics right now.
But I will say I did enjoy, like, not a lot of it's accurate, but boy, it was fun watching this. Like, as soon as they're talking, like, all right, it's this, we're going to, they found it in Peru. It's this thing. And I'm like, oh, you know what? This is enjoyable, kind of.
Yeah, but, and it kind of sounds like we're kind of bored with this movie, but we've actually seen this whole movie at this point. The beginning of this movie is actually pretty decent. Like the first two acts, like all the setup and everything is pretty decent. Like
it's like a high B class movie.
Yeah, it's really the end is where it just like really bogs down.
But how do they? I know I'm skipping, I think, and I'm drawing a blank. Just how do they get to the psychiatric hospital from there? Am I skipping a ton of stuff, or does it go like they just go like, oh, we've heard he was here. We're here now in Peru.
For some reason, that was the last place that's where he ended up after he picked up the skull, and somehow they knew that. Don't know how they knew that. And then the Russians found him after that.
Mutt's mom had the riddle.
That's right. Yes, she's the one that had the note that sent it to Mutt to try to convince. She must have got it from him. She must have tracked him down to the hospital, and then they both got took by the Russians.
All he has to do, well, I guess the note with the Oxley, not Indy on it. I was going to say, all you got to say is, Mutt's your son. Come help.
Yeah.
Done.
But you need to get Indiana Jones first, who's in his 60s at this point. Or 70s.
Sorry. I'm just trying. No.
Yeah.
But I honestly, they get to the psychiatric hospital. Man, I really enjoyed, like, Shia LaBeouf. What great acting. He looks like he's legitimately hurt and upset.
Yeah. Yeah.
Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford, whatever. Forgot his name's Mutt. Is like looking at viewing everything else. I'm like, all right, yeah, this is the Indiana Jones I like. Like he's looking at these clues, he's looking at these artifacts.
He's figuring stuff out.
That was rad. I was like, man, this is a good movie.
He's investigating.
Kind of like the Batman. All of a sudden, he's a detective again.
Yeah.
Something's in.
What a good movie. We can't talk about that movie right now. But
no. Psychiatric hospital.
Yeah.
Carving on the wall, like super smart. It's a map that's drawn out. And I can't remember what the guy's name is, but it's a conquistador. And the whole time I kept saying it's Alexander the Great because of Moon Knight.
Moon Knight, yeah.
It's Orleana is the last name. I don't remember the first.
Oriana, yeah. Yeah, that's where we find out that Oxley went, I guess, before the hospital. Because him and Shia go down into this tomb, and there's a line because they get attacked by these capoeira little dudes in this little tomb area.
That's where I checked out again, man.
That was another movie set.
What the crap? And they show up later too, and it's like, what is this bull crap? What are these people eating all day? Where do they poop? This is not real. This is a different movie completely.
Who are these little ninjas? But
no. I checked out there again.
Yeah, but there's a line reading where Shia LaBeouf, Mutt Williams is like, "You're a teacher," and Indiana Jones is like part-time. But there's a take of that in the trailer that is way better. Like he's more enthusiastic about the part-time thing.
I've really gone down the deep end, and again, I know I'm taking you down a path here of looking at like recent movies and trailers versus their actual content. And if you're really bored, there's some stuff on YouTube that someone's done the homework, but like watch the most recent Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
They do completely different scenes for the trailer.
Well, Marvel does that a lot.
But it's been happening for like 30 years. I had no idea.
Oh, yeah.
I thought Marvel was like, we're going to start doing this.
No, it's a common practice.
Also, you're really going to laugh at me. I just realized that Oxley's John Hurt.
Yeah.
I did not realize that until just now.
He has a very distinctive voice, so I don't know how you didn't know that.
I don't know. Watching it, I was like, where do I know this guy from?
Man.
And I think I was so enthralled of this is the worst Indiana Jones movie I've ever watched in my life. But what a solid actor, man. Like,
yeah.
And I think that's my problem with this movie. I know we're not at the end, but so many good actors and actresses.
Yes.
It's just not clicking.
You got your that's what is it? It's not Kate Blanchett. That's not Kate Blanchett.
Yeah, that's Kate Blanchett.
It is Kate Blanchett. Yeah.
You know what? You might be Harrison Ford. Did you know Harrison Ford didn't recognize her without the wig?
Well, he's in his 70s.
There's a legit article that he was.
Who's
like
that?
They're filming one day in her normal blonde hair without the wig. He said, "Who's that woman?" And they're like, "That's Kate Blanchett." And he goes, "No, it's not. She has black hair." Didn't know she had a wig.
Kate, I thought you had black hair.
Nope. Who's that dame?
Oh. Marion.
Marion.
Who's my wife? Who's my wife now? My actual wife is Harrison Ford. Ally McBeal.
Does Chewbacca love me still? Wrong movie.
I was at Peter Mayhew's funeral. We said, "Rip Chewie." I'll miss you, Chews. Always called him Chews. Peter Mayhew.
I will make fun of Harrison Ford all day long, but
yeah, dude.
You know what's crazy? I I think he got really, really fit for this movie because he did all of his action. He did it all. He had no stunt double.
Him being close to 80 now,
64. Then
he still looks great.
Yeah, like I looked it up because I was like, man, some of these action scenes, I don't think Corridor Crew's done a video. They did a video on the fridge. So Corridor Crew, if I'm on a podcast with you, he did all his action. Like, he's an old man.
Well, with that scene where they're on the motorcycle running, I mean, that's
he kind of
definitely
did all
a stunt double.
No,
a 70-year-old man's not going to hang off the back of a motorcycle.
I'm Harrison Ford. I did all my action scenes because I'm a man.
No one else will play Indiana Jones. When I die, the character dies with me.
It doesn't matter how old Indiana is. His punch packs a bigger punch than every other man.
George, I got an idea for a movie. Han Solo is tracking down artifacts. But he's a witness to a murder and he becomes a fugitive.
George, what? I've been reading into things because I can read now. Indiana Jones is a robot. He's tasked to get rid of other people. He has the power of the Schwartz. I know it. Movie. God, if anyone's listening to this, they just turned this off and said, these two idiots.
Oh.
But you know what? What we just did was more intelligent than the third act of this movie.
Yes. Yeah, we'll get to that. Definitely. But
so, all right. The crazy people jump out. The little crazy guys, which... not to go down a rabbit hole, I'm watching Raised by Wolves by your pushing. And those guys with the mask look just like one of those robots. So I was like, oh, man, this is crazy. But they're people. Mm-hmm. And, of course, they go through the typical Indiana Jones gauntlet. There's some booby traps. They find a cool little, diddly-daddly. They
find their conquistadors.
Conquistador.
Who have been preserved in these wraps for I don't know my ancient cultures, but I don't think they would be they would be perfectly preserved in any wrappings after 500 years.
Not in that condition. So again, we're watching Moon Knight in between this, not to make this a Moon Knight podcast. They did a pretty good job of showing what that body would have looked like. Yeah. Yeah. I understood why they did it. It was for the shock and awe of watching it.
I mean, the idea of this movie is that these ancient societies worship these aliens that actually came down to Earth. So, or interdimensional beings.
They found the skull there, though, right?
Yeah, because Oxley hid the skull behind the main dude.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Is like, all right, why didn't Oxley have the skull the whole time? So he hid it behind him. So that makes a lot more sense. Yeah. But then they get out and they get captured immediately.
Yes, the Russians are there. They found their way there. Which there are actual crystal skulls in our world. Like they were made, but like there's several at like a British museum and around the world, but they're not.
You're
real.
telling me I can put a plug to one of those skulls and put it on my brain and keep saying return?
Pretty much, yes. And it'll make you go crazy and tell you to return. So the Russians, they make camp. They they capture these dudes and they head into the Peruvian jungle and then they make camp. They've got Indiana Jones strapped to a chair and they want to see what happens when they put the skull in front of him.
Okay, here's where I really had problems. And oh my gosh, dude, I have done you dirty because it is deep into this podcast and I'm still rabbit holing you. I really thought watching this, because I didn't remember the first time, I thought like he was going to lose his mind. Later in the thing, it's like, yeah, he connects with it. He knows.
Yeah, I mean, he's Indiana Jones. That's why.
This whole sequence, and it's like, this was useless. This was stupid.
Because we find out that's what happened to Oxley. Like, he looked at it, and then he lost his mind. I mean, he's still communicating, but he's just lost it. And it tells, I don't know if it tells him anything at that point, but
it just tells him he would return. But then you get the whole, I can't say the lady's name. I'm not Russian. Iriana Spanko.
Spalco.
What a stupid concept.
Yeah.
Psychic power. We will control everyone. Mayor
Well,
wins.
that was a big thing with the
Cold War.
Soviet Union. Yeah, it was
Also a big thing with the Nazis, Preston. Sounds like it could have been.
Well, it was a big thing with us too. I mean, everybody was trying to do it.
You son of a gun, Preston. God bless America. Yes, it's getting cut.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyway,
yeah.
so we find out Mutt Williams' mom is
Marion Ravenwood.
Marion Ravenwood.
Oh, Marion.
But Mutt said his mom's name was Mary.
Yeah.
And Indiana Jones said there was a lot of Marys, kid.
Yeah, Harrison Ford knows how with his face to show, like, hey, I popped a boner seeing this lady, because
he's like a little kid again.
Oh, Marion,
how are you?
Oh, Bobby, give me that.
Shocker, not shocker. Shia LaBeouf is Indiana Jones' kid.
I forgot about that. Forgot about it from the first time I watched this, and I knew it the whole time. It was like, oh, yeah all right, whatever, bull crap.
Yeah.
Which you get one stupid reference to the, I'm Indiana Jones. I don't do snakes.
Oh no, I actually like that part. Because after they get away, they run through the jungle and they end up in this sinkhole or
you get it's dry sand,
and they're sinking down,
not quicksand. Yeah,
and
Preston, as a kid, I used to keep a rope on me at all times in case quicksand would appear before me.
Okay, I'm gonna sidetrack us this time. Did they ever teach you in school in like a safety thing about quicksand?
Yeah, Hell's Gold Mine is pretty close to Kershaw, so quicksand happens around Hell's Gold Mine.
Okay, well, when I was in like 4th or 5th grade, like they had this huge emphasis on safety and stuff, and I remember one of the things they covered voraciously was quicksand. Yeah. So I'm going through life thinking like there's quicksand everywhere.
Oh boy, you're making me feel good about life. Like I'm not insane. In 2nd grade, I remember we had to they drew like a circle. 2nd or 3rd grade, you drew a circle in the ground and you had to pretend it was quicksand, and you had to like sprawl your body and roll out, not go crazy while holding the rope. So no, we're on the same page. South Carolina,
I'm not crazy.
Yeah, middle South Carolina, we are awesome and special.
Yeah.
But there is quicksand in South Carolina, apparently. So, yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah.
So, Indiana Jones is sinking through dry sand, or whatever he calls it.
Ooh, wait a minute. Time out. I don't know if you get to see the rad. One of my favorite parts was Oxley doing the automatic writing.
Yes.
That was awesome. That, I went, ooh, I'm into this. That's cool.
That, like, it creates like a map.
It's a ideogram. So he's popping on for the podcast listeners that aren't visual people. I'm not even drawing anything. It's visual symbols to dictate where to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after all that, and then they try to escape. We're in the not quicksand. He tells Oxley to go get help. Mutt goes, looks for a rope, gets his mom. Somehow his mom gets out. I can't remember.
He snakes her out.
That's right. Yeah.
She doesn't give a crap about it. She's like, oh, yeah. I'm used to this.
And then, Indiana Jones is afraid of snakes. So he keeps throwing the snake at Indiana Jones. He's like, don't call it a snake. Call it a rope.
Call it a rubber rope of justice, please.
So he gets pulled out of it. That was funny to me. He gets pulled out of a quicksand by a snake.
It was funny. That was just maybe it was good. That's not where I expected the snake thing to pop up. After watching the first 3 now, I'm like, all right, yeah, something's going to happen.
Yeah. But so now we get to the infamous part where we're running through the jungle.
No.
This is where this movie turns into a cartoon.
I mean, like,
okay, there's at least 2 things I want to talk about that are the stupidest things I've ever seen put to film. The first one is Shia LaBeouf swinging through the trees with monkeys.
I did a lot of research just to be a total asshole. The speed of a swing and that, like, if I did my math looking at it, with what that swing would have been. There is no questionable way he could have caught up with anyone. If he's catching they're going around a bend, he's going straight. There is no physically possible way in this world that ever be able to happen. I don't know who got drunk and made that thing happen, but oh my gosh.
Here's the thing. It had to go through like so many people. Someone had to come up with it. They had to conceptualize it. And that
I blame
person
Kathleen
said,
Kennedy.
Yes, let's do that. And then, well, I would blame Spielberg more because I think he had more authority than she did.
But why? How? But you know what? If you watch,
just the amount of people that would have to go through to make it into the movie, and everyone said yes, let's keep it. Is
The Adventures of Tintin? Did you watch that?
Never seen it.
Spielberg. I think that was Spielberg. It's an animated movie.
Mm-hmm.
That is I watched that scene, and it's a great movie, by the way. The animation's great. The writing's incredible. Everything's perfect about it. 10 out of 10 Spielberg. But I watched this and went, this is why 10-10 was good. Because they put this in this movie and said, we can improve. Yeah, it was garbage.
And the second one I want to talk about is after they defeat all, not all the Russians, but a good majority of them. They're in this car. Oh, and Mac has revealed to us that he's CIA.
I'm CIA now.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, gosh.
They drive off this cliff onto a tree, and it folds down, and then they go into the water, and it flies back up and swats some Russians off the cliff that are climbing down. Yeah.
I could send this picture to you, but I'm putting it in a webcam so everyone can make fun of me. See that extra safety harness wire in this shot?
Oh my God, yes.
My wife went, Jake, did you see that? And normally I look out for this for the fun of it. And I was like, no, this is just awful. And she goes, the safety harness is visible. And I went, oh, I married you for a reason. But, sorry. So all of it's messed up. The editing, everything. Yeah. But yeah, that dome tree piece.
Just know that they end up at a waterfall at the end, and then they end up at this Mayan place.
Tres waterfall.
Yeah. And
I don't remember the riddle.
My problem with my entire problem with this final sequence is there's no urgency or opposing force that's really coming after them through this final set piece of figuring out this puzzle to get into this room. It's nothing. There's just nothing.
It's a grinding halt. The forest chasing happens, and it's like, okay, well, they're on this gunboat car, and there's a machine gun in the front. No one's using it. This buffoon's using a sword. There's no urgency. The whole pace of the movie just goes stopping.
There's no opposing force. There's no
I got to this point, Preston, and said, who's the villain in this movie? I forgot.
Exactly.
100% went, what is this? What are we watching now?
But anyway, they solve they're solving a series of puzzles. It turns into Uncharted, basically.
Yeah, bad Uncharted. And Indiana's bonding with his boy. His boy is grabbing rocks and
because his son's going back to. Now that it's his son, he's going back to school.
Back to school, boy. Boy, go to propane school and get yourself a degree.
Because in a really kind of great moment between the two of them earlier in the movie, he's like, I like to work on cars and stuff. And he's like, oh, is that what you want to do the rest of your life? He's like, yeah, I do. Is you got a problem with that? Nah, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
Oh, but now it's his son.
Dude, I was down. I was like, yeah, this is great. Love that. And then the switch. Now you're my boy. You're going to school.
Yeah, that was kind of a dumb joke. There's also another joke that doesn't land when they're in the back of this truck and they're trying to get out. And Mutt tosses him a knife. He gets it behind his back, cuts something, and they're like, "Oh shit!" Nothing else. They don't talk about it. There's a sound of a tear.
Kicks that knife through his shoulder, and he's like, "Argh." And I thought I went and looked. I was like, "Is this a callback to something else?" No, No.
I think it was a joke that was cut, and I guess they just forgot to cut that sound effect.
I think someone farted and they cut that out, and that's what they were all about. And that's the only thing I can think of, man.
Yeah. So they get into this chamber where it's all a bunch of crystal skeletons of this alien interdimensional being, whatever you want to call them. And there's one without a skull. So we attach the skull because the Spalco has made it because Mac was dropping tracers because I guess he's still working for the Russians. Who the fuck knows?
Again, what a waste of a character, dude. Like,
yeah, just terrible.
My gosh.
So we attach the skull, and they tell the gang that's all there, we want to give you a gift, and it's translated through Oxley. That gift is knowledge.
Knowledge.
And Spalco wants. I want to know. I want to know everything.
I mean, like, hey, whatever I say, this movie was a massive success. It profited like $600 million in the box office.
Because it was the first Indiana Jones movie in like 20-something years.
And it went through so much like writing knowing how like this got canceled, this got greenlit again, this got canceled, they have problems. Knowing all the problems, this movie should have been better.
Yeah.
But like you pretty much just lost Ark this kind of. You have another Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah.
And it's not as cool. It's just gonna melt you into a little thing, and a little saucer's gonna pop off. And
because the idea is like all of the knowledge that these, because they're not aliens, they're actually interdimensional beings, is what Oxley said with no explanation.
That's
He's just
George
like,
Lucas,
interdimensional beings, as a matter of fact.
Man, I sat there and went, I checked out. I went, all right, yeah, whatever.
Because I mean, Indiana Jones finding aliens makes sense. Like,
yeah, that sounds awesome. Like you said at the very beginning, the Area 51 plot, dude, roll with that, man. That'd have been rad.
He finds a connection in the spacecraft, in the craft in Roswell, that is a connection to something else on Earth. He goes and investigates. Trouble ensues. There's your script. No, we had to do this thing where the term is said, the treasure was knowledge.
I'm gonna go tell you, this movie is this isn't like a well-baked movie. This is someone drinking a lot of Metamucil, and they keep drinking it, and eventually this big log comes out, and that's this movie.
It's George Lucas and Steven Spielberg that were drinking the Metamucil.
But it hurt. I mean, like let me tell you, like George Lucas, I love him.
I will say to this day, George Lucas is a guy that got lucky with he got really lucky with one thing once.
Definitely. He got lucky, and he was smart enough as a businessman to do specific things.
Because Fox gave him the merchandising to Star Wars when it first came out because they didn't believe in it. They were like, yeah, you can have the merchandising stuff. He's like, all right.
Yeah. Oh, I'll take that. Sure.
And
but
so
Spielberg.
Yeah.
Man,
Spielberg is better than this.
That's what kills me the most is I think I text you like the Spielbergness in this movie is wild, and it was a negative point, not a good one. Like, what? I don't know. It just sucked watching this.
Again, after he's been through the jungle, after he's been through this flood and through all this dirt and dust and everything, his jacket is clean and he's perfectly dry at the end.
And then he goes and gets married, Preston.
Yeah. And then
come on.
I remember watching this movie in the theater when it came out back in 2008. Me and my family, we took my dad for Father's Day. It came out around Father's Day.
I took my dad for Father's Day, man.
And I remember when the wind blows the hat off the thing and it rolls up to Mutt. I remember sitting in the theater saying, "Don't you fucking dare pick that."
I remember being, I knew who Indiana Jones was. Then watched the movies and went, "This isn't the guy. This is not the guy."
I know how movies go, and I'm like, "Don't you dare pick that hat up."
All right, let me ask you the weird question.
Thank God he doesn't.
If this movie came out this year with the main actors that they can, where they are in life now, would this movie be better? I think
Maybe.
Shia LaBeouf, out of the like, I'm a child star, he wouldn't do this movie. One.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford, yeah, he's going to do it. He loves Indiana Jones. Clearly, it's with the fifth one, but I don't know.
I'm glad they got a different director for the new Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah, Spielberg got smart on that
because he was the original director and then he dropped out. Thank God.
Is it James Mangold that's doing it? Do you know? Okay, yeah, I'm down with that. I think it's going to be good.
Director of such films as Logan, Walk the Line,
Ford versus Ferrari,
Ford versus Ferrari,
Whoa.
Ford versus Mad Max.
Yeah, he did 3:10 to Yuma.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, that's a good one.
He was going to do a Boba Fett movie, but
I've been trying to figure out who the original cat from that was supposed to be, but
man.
Preston, what'd you think? I mean, I know loosely, like
I give it a 6.
I think I'm about there too.
Because I was enjoying it more than I thought, because this is like the 4th or 5th time I've seen this movie. I was enjoying it more than I thought I would in the beginning.
Yeah, man, I suck. Like I'm a sucker for good scores, and if it's John Williams,
John Williams is going to hit. Like that's going to hit every time.
It can be the worst movie I've ever watched. John Williams does it. I'm nostalgically into it.
That's my favorite of his theme is the Indiana Jones theme.
That's a good one. It is solid.
Like I said, I love Indiana Jones. And I think part of it is because my dad introduced me to Indiana Jones. So I love these movies.
And I regret, I really, really regret never watching them. I just never did. I don't, never popped up. But like I said, last year I watched them, and it's like, man, I love film so much. How have I never seen this? And there's so many. Where this movie falls flat. The first 3, 2 of them are super solid. The other one's pretty good. There are so many things that like create film history. Like everyone owes everything to these. Like you watch Guardians of the Galaxy, Star-Lord's kind of Indiana Jones.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, essentially that's all he is. So it's like, dude, we wouldn't have crap if it wasn't for that. So
exactly.
But, this movie, all you get is a bunch of memes and bad jokes.
Pretty much. Let's hope that the one coming out hopefully next year is better.
Yeah, I got hope.
I feel confident in the director.
Yeah, and you've got a pretty daggone good supporting cast. I mean, this had a great supporting cast. If you had better direction.
Yeah.
Do you think Harrison Ford will do his own stunts?
No, he's like almost 80.
He's done.
Right? Yeah. He might do some. Like he punched Ryan Gosling in the face on Blade Runner 2049. So,
I mean, like, I know that I'm dating us, maybe, but like, how weird is that to be like Harrison Ford's old? Well, I know people get old, whatever, but
yeah. I guess like when I first remembered seeing him, he's kind of always old to me, but. I mean, he was one of those guys that got started late in his career, which in Hollywood means like he was 35.
Yeah. Which, I'll leave you with a great thought.
Okay.
Where was Dan Aykroyd in this movie?
As a man in this movie?
As a man that's obsessed with crystals in real life, he has the vodka brand
Skull
Crystal
vodka.
Head vodka. Where was Dan Aykroyd, man?
I guess they didn't call him.
Yeah. What an idiot.
Yeah. But that's Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Dull.
I'd say go watch any other Indiana Jones movie, which there's only 3 others. So
I'd agree with that.
I'd say you watch The Adventures of Young Indiana Jones. I think it's on Paramount Plus. Or
it is
Amazon Prime, or
I think it's Paramount Plus, or you can rent it elsewhere. Okay. But
well, Jake, thanks for sitting through that movie with me.
Hey man, for 2/3 of it, I was pumped with you, and the other third, I hated your life. I think I texted you, "I love you," and it was sarcastic. It was, "I hate you," really, but
it was like I was confused because I was like, did he mean to send that to his wife or?
No, I don't send my wife anything like that. I just was watching this and it's like, God, Preston, this, I feel like for the history of everything else, I'm always going to have to endure Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
And yeah, for at least a third or half of this, I felt it.
So, if you have a suggestion for another movie, you can send that to secondtakemoviespod@gmail.com. You can get in touch with us on all the socials at Second Take Movies. And I don't know what we're going to do next.
I'm gonna tell you one movie I'm gonna watch in real life is the new Nick Cage, but
ooh, yes, I really want to see that.
Nick Cage is a gem.
So for Jake, I will say we'll see you next time.